Welcome all to this first Africa Online Summer School. First of all, I would like to say for the panelists, please mute yourself if you're not gonna speak at this moment so we don't have any noise. So again, thank you all for coming to this session. I would like first to give my big thanks to all the speakers and all the lecturers who agreed to participate in this event. Thank you for your support and participations. Also, I would like to give my thanks to IAHR Secretariat for helping organizing this event, and big thanks to Elsa for helping all the time. Also, I would like to send my thanks to the leadership team of Africa Division and also to David Ferras, who's helping me organizing this event as well. Now, this event is organized by the IAHR Africa Division as part of its vision. The vision aims to connect IAHR with African scholars, young professionals, and institutes, and to promote collaboration that will create solutions for the water security and climate change challenges and help meet the net zero and sustainability targets. Now, IAHR is committed to connect with Africa, and actually IAHR recently last year have they have offered free membership, and now we have over 150 members in the Africa Division. Now, the main objective of this school is to enhance knowledge sharing by introducing the main principles of hydro-environmental engineering and their importance and practical applications in Africa. This school is composed of 18 lectures in various fields of hydro-environmental engineering, delivered by renowned experts and professors. Today is the opening session, which includes 5 short keynote speeches pointing at the importance of capacity building in Africa. So briefly, the speakers are Mr. Tassew, the IAHR Executive Director, Dr. Alexandros Makarigakis, so sorry if I don't pronounce very well some of the names. He's representing Unesco Regional Office for Eastern Africa. Dr. and Professor Raphael Chimanga, representing UN Water and Congo Basin Water Resources Research Center. Dr. Tashu Bakuria and also Professor Feleke Zewge, representing the Ethiopian Climate Change Working Group. And last but not least, Professor Daouda Koné, representing WASCAL, which is short for West Africa Science Service Center on Climate Change and Adapted Land Use. So now let me give the floor to Tassew, the IAHR Executive Director, to give the first keynote speech. I hope you will enjoy this event and this summer school. Thank you. Tom, anytime you can speak.
Well, thank you, Moez. Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to all those joining outside of this African time zone. I thank you for joining online today, and I thank all of the distinguished speakers who will be joining me to help to open this inaugural IAHR Africa Online Summer School. I wish you a very, very warm welcome. The school seeks to connect African scholars, engineers, young professionals, and institutes. And it's a global effort to help strengthen our collective capacity to reach Africa's water potential and meet its water challenges. So the main objective of the school is to bring together top global minds to share their knowledge and experience with everybody over the next 10 days regarding hydro-environmental engineering and its importance and its practical applications in Africa. Let me start by making a small introduction of IAHR and the concept of hydro-environment. IAHR is a worldwide, independent, member-based association that was established some 85 years ago, a little bit more actually. And we recognize that in order to maintain national development, the world needs to act together in a global manner to address water engineering and research issues. Now, hydro-environment engineering and research is all about expanding our knowledge about water flow, and about management in engineered structures, as well as in natural water bodies, and the use and application of that knowledge to help serve the needs of people and the environment. So to advance this cause, what IAHR does is we bring together engineers, experts, researchers, organizations to help accelerate solutions and knowledge discovery about this. Presently, we bring together some 5,000 members from all over the world. There are regional divisions, of course, in Africa, which is the division bringing this event to us today, but also in the Latin Americas, in Asia Pacific, the MENA region, and in Europe. And together we advance these hydro environment engineering solutions via 4 main activity areas. One is to provide a world-class networking and knowledge sharing platform. Secondly, it's by inspiring and disseminating publications and state-of-the-art thinking. Third, by convening events and activities such as the one we're embarking upon in the next coming days. And fourthly, by acting as a global voice for the hydro environment sector. Now, coming to Africa, the grand water challenges in Africa, they're actually multiple and well known. Water security is absolutely essential for the development of the continent. And this is placed at the heart of the water strategy of the African Development Bank. And it is repeated in the recently released long-term vision of the African Union, which is entitled Agenda 2063, the Africa we want. A water secure future is essential to accelerate development in Africa, whether it's by providing drinking water or sanitation services, protecting ecosystems, or ensuring growth in different sectors such as industry, or irrigation or aquaculture, or via the harnessing of water in multi-purpose dams for hydropower or protection from floods and droughts. However, we all know that this water security is going to be tough to achieve. Africa is under pressure as the region with the fastest growing population in the world. It's expected to double to 2.5 billion people by 2050. Pressures are also arise from limited and fragmented information, limited data on water resources, making management actually quite difficult. And the development potential of Africa's water resources is also constrained by a huge infrastructure gap. And of course, unless we can increase resilience to variability and climate change, Africa will continue to experience economic losses and impacts on lives and livelihoods. Well, this is the thing though, Africa is actually endowed with vast water resources, evidently not everywhere, but speaking as a whole, including but not limited to rivers, lakes, underground aquifers. It's the capacity to meet those challenges that continue to constrain the ability of countries to harness this resource. So what are we going to do about it? What are we trying to do about it? IAHR seeks to increase water security and our collective capacity in hydro environment engineering research, practice and knowledge regarding solutions that are multi-purpose and work in harmony with the environment and also with other sectors. Concretely, this translates to actions such as this week's online summer school. By doing this, IAHR seeks to open up opportunities with individuals and with institutions. And we do this via knowledge exchange, building expert capacity and professional development activities and networking. In particular, we focus on 4 key areas. One is about global engineering solutions that are in harmony with the environment. 2 is the hydraulic side for sustainable development. 3 is climate change adaptation, as well as mitigation. And of course, 4 are digital water futures, including all that is modeling and aids to help decision making. So in a steady and humble way, we can start this journey, start this knowledge exchange at the individual level, much like this week between you, the speakers, and the participants at the summer school. And we can multiply it and propagate this by continued exchange via partnerships at the institutional and systemic levels. So if you're interested to advance the hydro environment efforts in Africa, to meet and join forces with other like-minded professionals, I invite you to continue to engage with IAHR. There are many opportunities. You can discover more technical content that is available on demand, such as the lectures from this summer school, on demand at any time from our website. You can participate in technical events that we organize all around the world, publish in and read our publications. And let me also use this occasion to invite you to come and meet us at our flagship event next year, the IAHR World Congress, which will take place in June in Vienna, Austria. The main theme being rivers connecting mountains and coasts. And on that open invitation for ongoing cooperation with IAHR, let me come right back to the present event, the summer school. I'm very excited to see such a great lineup of speakers coming up during the next 10 days. I warmly thank and welcome my fellow distinguished panelists today. I'd like to thank also the organizers, especially Moez, Louati, and David Ferras of the IAHR Africa Division, the leadership team of the Africa Division, as well as all those from the IAHR Secretariat who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to help bring this event to us. I look forward to a very fruitful exchange, and I hope that you'll find the first ever IAHR Africa online summer school valuable and enjoyable, and we can repeat these many times more in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you for this nice speech. And thank you also for your support. Now I would like to move to our next keynote speaker. So our next keynote speaker is Dr. Alexandros Makarigakis. Sorry, Alex, if I pronounce wrongly. Now, Alex has received his bachelor degree from the City University of New York, and his master also in civil engineering from the City University of New York, and his PhD in environmental engineering from Stevens Institute of Technology, New Jersey. Actually, Alex has over 25 years of experience in the field of environmental sciences. He has 19 years, he has been working with UNESCO for 19 years now. And he is currently the Chief of Science Sector for UNESCO Regional Office for East Africa, and he is the Regional Hydrologist. So please welcome with me Dr. Alexandros. And Alex, please, you can start anytime.
Okay, thank you very much, Moez. Congratulations to IAHR and its regional African department for organizing this first Africa Online Summer School. We're extremely happy to have the opportunity to cooperate with you, and we're looking forward to having more activities from your side in Africa. I'm gonna speak to you a little bit today about UNESCO's water program, because a lot of people are not very much aware of it, and a little bit of our work in Africa, or at least some of the directions that we are focusing on. First of all, as we heard from our previous speaker, Tom, water is practically everywhere, right? It's an element that we see in all post-2015 agendas. So in Agenda 2063, from a regional perspective, the Africa we want, but also in Agenda 2030 from a global perspective, the Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, of course, the Paris Agreement, the Urban Agenda, among others. Right? So we see that it is a connector practically, right? And therefore SDG 6 is a prerequisite to the achievement of other sustainable development goals. Now, about UNESCO, a lot of people are aware about UNESCO because of its cultural heritage sites, because of the education, depending on where you're coming from in this world. And a lot of people forget that there is an S in UNESCO, which stands for sciences, right? So the reason why we're doing water is the hydrological sciences, right? And our work in water started in 1975, right after the very first International Hydrological Decade, where the secretariat of that decade was assimilated by the organization, and ever since we had the birth of the IHP, the Intergovernmental Hydrological Program, that has practically three functions, right? The first one is to mobilize international scientific cooperation. So we try to move knowledge from where it is to where it's not, right? And we do that with a network of more than 3,000 experts, which we call UNESCO Water Family. Then the second part is we take very good results from associations like the IAHR, and we try to bridge the science policy gap, right? So we're taking this scientific knowledge and we try to make sure that the decision makers are aware of it and they use it actually when they're taking their decisions. And last but not least, we are supporting capacity development and strengthening exercises throughout the world in order to enhance the water resource management and governance. So we do that in an organized manner. So we have medium-term strategies that we call IHP phases. The past two phases of IHP has been on water security. I need to stress that if you have realized, none of the agendas, even none of the post-2015 agendas talks about water security, right? We're talking about sustainable, we're talking about water resource management, we're talking about IWIRM, etc. But water security as an expression is not, or a definition is not included in all the frameworks that we see. And that's why we need to have a lot of research on it, so that the post-2030 agenda will have at least the scientific evidence for decision makers to use in order to take their decisions upon. Now, our ninth phase is focusing on water secure world and resilient societies, and has basically 5 pillars. One, which is focusing on sciences, research, and innovation. Another one on bridging the data and knowledge gaps. And the third one on water education in the 4th industrial revolution. These 3 provide the foundation for inclusive water management, of course, under the conditions of global change. So not business as usual, but considering the climate change effects, and water governance based on science for mitigation, adaptation, and resilience. I think this echoes a little bit Tom's also speech. Now, another thing that we do along with our colleagues at UNECE, right? We are the co-custodians for one of the indicators, which is on transboundary cooperation, or water cooperation, basically. And we monitor the indicator on the proportion of transboundary basin areas with operational agreements. Oops, I'm sorry. Just to give you a little bit of what is happening in Africa, we did the second round of data collection recently, and we have a much better response than the first one. So we had 43 countries responding to the questionnaire. We see how the rate, right? Whereas we have some countries that they are doing better than others. We can see the value of the indicator here in green. We see though that the surface water is always better treated than groundwater, although groundwater is mostly what we use in Africa, right? And it's also the water resource that will enhance our resilience in the future, especially as far as the agriculture concerns, as climate change effects will become more intense and more frequent. So this is an alarming thing that we have to take into consideration in the future. Now, so what does the UN do? I'm sure that my colleague from UN Water will mention that, but we have an UN SDG 6 global acceleration framework. So we're trying to accelerate things because we know that we're lagging behind, that according to our data, we will not achieve the targets of SDG 6 if we continue business as usual. So we have the acceleration framework that focuses on data and information, on financing water, on good governance, on innovation, and on capacity development. And whereas we contribute to most of the accelerators, we co-lead with Andesa the part on capacity development. In our efforts to do that, we have realized also that there's nothing that talks about our human resources in water, right? So if you look at all the indicators related to water, there's nothing I can tell you at some point what is happening in a country as far as their capacity in managing their water resources. So we're trying to push for a new indicator on water education, and we start piloting it in a number of countries. Now, another area that we work a lot is groundwater and mainly transboundary aquifers, right? As Tom said, Africa is endowed with good water resources, right? But now the issue is how to develop them, right? So we have a number of projects around Africa where we're trying to see how not only to delineate the aquifers, but also to see how we can improve governance, how groundwater can become part of the surface water management, etc., basically conjunctive management. One of these projects is the Greta Project, which looks at the transboundary aquifer between South Africa, Botswana, and Namibia. And based on the results of this project, we were able to put for the first time in an international river basin organization in Africa, basically an integrated approach where the basin looks at issues both of surface water and groundwater. And we're trying now to expand this in other RBOs. Other type of projects that we are running are for human settlements, like a project that we have right now for the Nairobi Aquifer System, the financing of the Korean government, where we're trying to see how groundwater can be another alternative resource for the city, since the city is actually not able to respond to the demand, and also to explore issues of managed aquifer recharge to basically enhance the amount of water in the resource. Another type of work that we're doing, and we cooperating with the University of Bath, with KWR on this one, is we're looking at the state of cities right now using the city blueprint approach, right? Where practically we're trying to take a baseline of where they are based on a number of indicators that are very easy to collect, actually easier than the SDG 60 indicators, because usually these are data that you have as a city, right? And we're trying to see what is happening now in Africa, where we are, and how we can improve the situation. The idea is that by using City Blueprint Framework, you can run these assessments frequently and see where you are, if you haven't been improving the situation by improving your infrastructure or by taking governance decisions, etc. We have the Global Water Pathogen Project, which is basically the new state-of-the-art on water pathogens. And it's a huge effort that brought together more than 250 authors from more than 50 countries. And we're pushing the boundary for open science. We heard about the need for data, but we need open sources, we need open access, right? So we are setting now an international type of guideline on how to go about data sharing, and we're doing that through open sciences. Last but not least, we start moving on issues of early warning systems. I don't want to get misunderstood. We are talking about the research component because operational hydrology is something that our colleagues in the World Meteorological Organization are doing. But when it comes to research and bringing in new models, new systems, then that's the research and science work, and that's where we get in. So we have a couple of systems that we're using either for floods or droughts around Africa, right? And we, of course, start moving into the development of apps that can also give you this type of information. And again, as we said, we do that with international cooperation, right? So we're using, let's say, other experts from different countries of the world to provide this information to other countries that need it. Last but not least, again, for capacity development, we have set up a UNESCO open learning platform with a number of lectures that are open and they can easily be accessible for everyone to take, download, and then use as they please. This is practically it. I just want to give you a small idea of what we're trying to do here. Again, this is just some direction, right? There are plenty of more things that we are doing, but I couldn't capture them in 10 minutes. I just want to say to all the young people that are listening today that they have to start changing things around. If you look at the science that we're using right now and the philosophy that we're using is the philosophy that I found in the 90s when I was in school. And that was already established in the 70s. So we need a paradigm shift. We need to really take into consideration how climate change should change the way that we are thinking. Rigid centralized systems are things of the past. Modular systems, decentralized systems are things that we should start paying more attention. I'm an engineer myself, so I'm expecting more from the young engineers of that are attending this coursework, and I hope that they will be the agents of change. Having said that, this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention and for the invitation too.
Thank you. Thanks, Alex, for this great speech, and thank you for supporting this event. I hope we'll continue collaborating together and holding some of the events together. I've asked David to check if we have any questions on some of the panelist talks, because we don't have too much time, but reading the messages, it seems there are no questions at this moment. I think if I'm wrong, David, you can let me know. So in the meanwhile, I would like to move to our next keynote speaker. Let me introduce to you Dr. and Professor Raphael Chimanga. So Professor Raphael Chimanga is a professor of hydrology and water resources at the University of Kinshasa, Democratic Republic of Congo. He is the director of the High School of Water and the Congo Basin Water Resources Research Center. He has just won the 2022 Distinguished Alumni Award from Rhodes University in South Africa, where he got his PhD. His achievements over the last decades have contributed to the funding of several international research and capacity building projects on water resources in the Congo Basin and Africa. The Professor Raphael Chimanga is the initiator and coordinator of several research, capacity building, and professional development programs aimed to promote improved access to water resources services in the Congo Basin and Africa. Now, he is currently also a research fellow under the Future Africa Independent Research FLAIR program of the UK Royal Society and Africa Academy of Science. He is the author and co-author of more than 100 publications, including peer-reviewed articles, books, and book chapters. So please welcome with me Professor Chimanga. And Professor Chimanga, you can start your talk anytime you want.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Moez, Dr. Moez, for giving me this opportunity. I'm going to talk about training capacity building for African water resources. Yeah, thank you very much for this wonderful initiative. So my talk will be about water resources in Africa, which actually we almost all know, and the challenges of managing water resources in Africa. So then I will talk also a little bit about the training and capacity building needs and initiatives in Africa. So this actually will be the essential of my talk. So we all know this picture, we all see it. So what Africa is giving us in terms of water resource potential, we do have some major large river basins in Africa, such as the Congo River that actually generates a discharge of more than 41,000 cubic meters per second at the outlet. This is actually a huge amount of water resources that actually can be used for the development and climate change resilience in Africa. So we do also have some major lakes, and some of which are of global importance. Like when we talk about Lake Tanganyika, Lake Malawi, and Lake Victoria, these are major lakes that are actually hosted in Africa. So, so we do also have some small water systems that actually are very, very important for water supply, community resilience in rural areas in Africa. So this is actually very, very, very important. So, but there is a characteristic of the African hydrology, which we know that the continent is characterized by a wide range of processes that are under the influence of complex atmospheric, land, and ocean interactions, and the ability of fresh water is strongly heterogeneous. So this is actually what we know, the high variability of water resources. So we also know that the African hydrology is subject to strong climate variability across timescales, from interannual to decadal changes, with alternate period of flood and droughts. But this is actually what has been documented, that the African hydrology is not really well known when we compare to other world river basins, such as the Amazon, such as the Ganges. So we still see that really the African water resources are actually understudied. So there is also, we know that the African storage and flux, the spatial distribution and variability remain highly unknown in many hydrographic regions of Africa. So there is this context that actually we have established that leaves us with open major questions regarding temporary distribution of water, water availability across Africa. So we do have much questions that actually we are trying to ask ourselves, that actually can lead our actions. So how much water is stored across the surface continent of Africa? So what is the spatial and temporal dynamics of surface water in Africa? So how does it interact with climate change, or the climate variability and anthropogenic activities in Africa? So these are actually major questions that we are asking ourselves every day. So we do have the challenges of managing water resources in Africa. So when we see these questions, we see that really they are of particular relevance for Africa, which is the second continent in the world, both in size and population. So we know that really, as the first speaker mentioned it, the Africa occupies about 30 million of square kilometers and hosts almost 1.4 billion of inhabitants as of this year. So this represents about 18% of global population, according to the United Nations statistics of 2019. So the African population is expected to double by 2050. So which also will prompt the increase in water use. So the demand of water. So there is really a rapid growth of economy in Africa, which actually increases the demand for freshwater supply to sustain population growth, and the need of agriculture and industrial sectors now pose significant threats to water resources. There are some environmental alterations such as land use practices, groundwater stress and deforestation, along with political conflicts. In Africa, many of river basins are actually shared between several countries, and there are also potential conflicts about the allocation of water resources across these different boundaries. So we see the future that has a lot of challenges. We are talking about about flooding. We are talking about droughts. We are talking about pollution. We are talking about population growth. We are talking about the the leakages and so on. So these are actually the challenges we have to be prepared to face in Africa. So this is actually the situation that we see in Africa every day. So we do have rivers flowing, every day, but then access to services of water resources in Africa is a challenge. You can see these pictures. So this should actually, call for action in Africa. So when you talk about the hydroclimate hazards, we are talking about the droughts, earthquake, floods, viral diseases, and so on, a landslide, storm, wildfire. So these are actually, events that really calls for action. So we need to think as engineers, as experts, as scientists, how can we address this problem in Africa? So really, there is this problem of building infrastructures in Africa. But what is the sustainability of these infrastructures without good information? So really, this is also catastrophic, as we can see here. So there is here I take specifically the case of the Congo Basin, where before 1960s we had more than 500 monitoring stations in the basin. So now there are no more than 20 monitoring stations in the basin for the river monitoring. And so this is actually interpelling us. When you compare, for instance, to the UK, you can see the density of the coverage. Really, it's high. You cannot compare to this huge basin, but that doesn't have really the monitoring stations. So, and then those that exist are very, very old, and we still have challenges of getting good data, reliable data with this monitoring stations. Luckily, we do now have access to the wealth of satellite based information that can be used, but we still need to validate them using ground-based information, which is actually challenging now. So then we see that a better understanding of agricultural processes across the continent, therefore, becomes fundamental for addressing these challenges, for reducing uncertainty in future evolutions of water availability, and for developing mitigation strategies. So we see that there is need really for an integrated perspective that allow a better understanding of interactions. We do have a lot of interactions: water availability, pollution, population growth, the demand, the water uses, so across different scales. So we need really to understand these interactions and how then do they impact on water resource availability for the current situation and for the future. So they need also for the dialogue between upstream users and downstream users. This is actually very, very important, because in most cases we see that really the upstream users are using water, not taking into consideration the need for downstream users. So really here we need also to take into consideration the issue of availability of water resource, protection, allocation, and control of pollution. So, and overall, we can ask ourselves this question. So what is our capacity to face the challenge that actually we are documenting, we are observing in Africa in terms of available data? What type of data do we have at different spatial and temporal scales? So what is the current state of our knowledge about the dynamics of water resources across Africa? So what are the technical or ecological resources that we do have? What does these challenges? So what about the human resource and expertise? So this is actually where the capacity building and the training capacity building initiatives are coming in Africa. So we can say that really the African continent is facing multiple water-related challenges, including decline of water quantity and quality, inadequate governance and institutional structures, declining monitoring networks, as I mentioned previously. So increasing resource use in the face of growing human population and increasing resource variability associated with future changing climate. So as the region strives toward improving political and economic and social stability, the importance of secure water supplies will assume increasing significance. So the hope of achieving sustainable development within Africa would largely be undermined if its resources are not sustainably managed, utilized, or protected and governed. So there is an urgent need to increase African human capacity in the field of water resource engineering and so on, to develop relevant solutions to water resource problem on the continent. The shortage of trained, qualified, and competent academics and professionals hinders Africa's efforts in addressing the challenges facing the water sector. Experts, we know that experts from outside the continent, they are often coming, to address the specific problem of water-related problem in Africa. But this approach, we see it that to some extent is not sustainable, as it doesn't provide long-term capacity development for Africans. So some of the initiatives that have been documented at the continental scale, we do have first the UN framework, UN Water Framework of Sustainable Development Goals that ensures availability and sustainability sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. But we do also have some initiatives such as CapNet that has been working for quite a long time in Africa to build capacities in IWM implementation, offering some professional courses. We do have the program from WaterNet, capacity building in IWM. They offer professional courses. They also offer masters and PhD courses. So we do have a program that actually also train people at masters and PhD level. Carnegie Rise funded the program, which was for sub-Saharan Africa. So we do have the Intra-African Water Resource Academy academic mobility program. So that's actually taking place now in Africa, connecting several universities and facilitating mobility of students and also of staff for addressing the challenge of training and capacity building in water resources in Africa. We do have also the Nile Exchange Program and the Nile Basin Capacity Building for River Engineering. They have actually set a new program to facilitate mobility of researchers and students across different countries in the Nile Basin to address the issues of water resource engineering in the Nile Basin. We do also have the Congo Basin Water Resource Network that works with UN Water. We do have also the Nile IWM net. I can't forget the Groundwater network that is actually working across the continent of Africa. And we welcome also this initiative of IAHR, Africa Online Summer School. So to conclude, I can say that there is really need to achieve more in terms of capacity building and training in Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your talk. I think we really enjoyed, and I'm sure all the audience have enjoyed the talk. It's quite informative. Thank you again, Professor Raphael Chimanga. And I hope we will continue our collaboration together, maybe working on further capacity building events. Again, usually we did not have time for questions at this moment. There are some questions, but if we have some time at the end, I think we will open the floor for 1 or 2 questions for the panelists, because one of the speakers, I think the last speakers may not, I don't see him yet connecting. So maybe if he doesn't join, then maybe we'll have more time for some questions. So thank you again, Professor. And now I would like to move to our next keynote speech. So our keynote speech, the next one will be by, well, two of them will co-chair the speech. So let me introduce the first speaker is Dr. Tashu Bakuria. Now, both of them, actually, we invited them to give a keynote speech because IAHR have been collaborating with them on the Ethiopia Climate Change Working Group. So this climate change working group was initiated to facilitate, Ethiopia in meeting the climate change targets, such as, net zero emission targets, etc. Dr. Tashu Mekuria actually initiated this event, and now this working group is under the leadership of Professor Feleke Zewge. So let me introduce first Dr. Tashu. He got his PhD degree from Morgan State University in 2029. His master's degree is in biology with an emphasis on environmental biology, and his PhD is in bioenvironmental science. So Mekuria notable research accomplishments are on biodegradation of toxics and persisting chemicals from the soil and the application of nanotechnology. Mekuria holds several years of teaching experience in biological science from high school to college level in the state of Maryland. He also served as a crime scene investigator for several years in the Baltimore Police Crime Lab. Now, currently, Dr. Mekuria is working for the University of Maryland Center for Environmental Science and Environmental Policy issue in support of the Science and Technology Working Group of the Maryland Commission on Climate Change. Now, the co-speakers is Professor Feleke, is Professor of Environmental Chemistry and Engineering at Addis Ababa University. He got his PhD in Environmental Engineering from Gunma University of Technology in Japan in 2021. He's the head of Africa Center of Excellence for Water Management. He's also Associate Dean for Research and Technology Transfer, College of Natural and Computational Sciences. And he's also a manager at the National Fluorosis Mitigation Program. So please welcome with me Dr. Tashu and also Professor Feleke. Tashu and Feleke, please, anytime we can start. I believe Tashu will start to speak first.
Thank you so much. You hear me?
Yes, I do.
Thank you so much for the introduction. Yeah, as you mentioned, we initiated Ethiopian Climate Change Working Group. So I'm inviting, hello, the IAHR Summer School attendees, coordinators, leadership, guest speakers, and ladies and gentlemen. We established Ethiopian Climate Change Working Group. This working group is working on the focus areas on climate change and environmental justice. And from the three speakers before, Dr. Tashu, Dr. Alex, and Dr. Raphael, the Africa is a little behind in achieving a lot of climate and environmental goals. So what we can do? So the establishing the working group is one way to approach problems and find solution for the from the professionals. So what we do is we established the Ethiopian Climate Change Working Group in February 2022, and initiated by me with the support and encouragement of Dr. Peter Goodwin from University of Maryland Center for Environmental Science. And we are made up of professionally and geographically diverse individuals. And these individuals have different professions, students, scientists, researchers, engineers, professors. And this professors or these individuals are trying to contribute knowledge, skill, experience, what we can do for Africa. It doesn't matter where they are or where they live. It can be from all over the world, but we can work together for the development of Africa and addressing the climate change. So our focus areas are climate change, environmental justice, emission reduction plans, emission trading, carbon market, education, and how African youth or young people can find career in environmental area. We call it green economy. And community outreach. Those are our focus areas, and we bring those things together and established the Ethiopian Climate Change Working Group at Addis Ababa University under the African Center Excellence for Water Management, so that we can work for the entire Africa, not only to Ethiopia. So why Climate Change Working Group is important? Here in the United States, in Maryland, we have the University of Maryland Center for Environmental Science and the State Department of the Environment have different working groups. These working groups are professionals together. They work for a specific topic and bring that topic together and implement for the policy or improvement. So the working group is the best approach to address all the problems that Alex and Raphael indicated in the presentation that I heard a few minutes ago. So see, global warming, drought, flooding, disaster, pollution, hazardous waste, all these are our problem. And I don't have data, but we are suffering from these problems. So how can we address those problems and find a solution? And can we achieve the 2050 net zero emission plan together to the other world? Or the other world can achieve this emission plan excluding Africa? Do you hear about environmental justice? When we say environmental justice, let me pick one example, hazardous waste. When we say hazardous waste, do you accept Africa as the best continent to dump nuclear or hazardous waste from the other part of the world? So do we know that? Do we know that? But in working group, in things like this, we can address, we can advocate, we can make people to aware so that science, technology, and engineering can help to bring the policy together. So the Ethiopian Climate Change Working Group is very important to do that. So, on that, we have a strategic plan initiated in the United States. Then we established it in Addis Ababa University. So it is the rules and the regulation of all Addis Ababa University and African Center Excellence for Water Management can be applied. So Professor Feleke Zewge is chairing this together with his department, and he classified as thematic areas: water and energy, agriculture and food security, environmental and natural resources management, and he has like 3 assistant chairs or co-chairs to lead. So the Ethiopian Climate Change Working Group is now helping or expanding the idea to other parts of the world, and we are willing to work with the agencies, and we are calling people to be included in our membership. So after this, I'm going to leave to Professor Feleke so that he can present or he can make remark about Ethiopian Climate Change Working Group. Thank you. Professor, you want me to keep the same slide and move forward, or you want to share your own slide from your
Yeah. Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So I can share my slide. Please unshare yours, and then I will proceed.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tashu. You can maybe stop sharing for the moment. Yeah, perfect. Well, Dr. Feleke, you can share yours coming up in a moment. Okay, we can see your screen.
Okay.
You can maximize if you want, and then you can start.
Okay. Sorry. Just a moment. 1 minute.
That's fine. These things always happen online, trust me. But perhaps you are at the last slide. Maybe you can go up first.
Recording in progress.
Sometimes you need to enable editing to allow to maximize.
Can you see now?
No, you have to share again. You stop sharing, so maybe you share your screen again.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Take your time.
Sorry.
Now we can see your screen.
Yeah.
Thank
you very much.
Sure.
So I will proceed from where Dr. Tassew has stopped. So first of all, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present the overall or just overview of the Ethiopian Climate Change Working Group. So it's just new initiative. So the aim is to support knowledge-based implementation of climate change interventions targeted in nationally determined contributions, national adaptation plans, and climate resilient green economy strategies. So the vision of this group, the working group, is by 2030, Ethiopian Climate Change Working Group will create a strong, inclusive, and trusted network of Ethiopian organizations that have worked together to achieve the global goals of the Paris Climate Agreement and to exceed the Ethiopian goals set out in its NDCs and NAPs. By 2050, Ethiopia and Africa achieve net zero emissions targets. The green economy is fully implemented and no industry emits more greenhouse gases into the atmosphere than it mitigates. To this end, ECCWG is well positioned to work towards meeting the Africa Union's net zero emission. So our mission is to build a diverse movement strong enough to put Ethiopia on the path to climate stability, including clean water, clean air, and clean energy sources by building climate resilience and significantly reducing greenhouse gases across the country and throughout the region. As already mentioned by Dr. Tassew, it's not specific to Ethiopia. So the group is planning to extend its activities to other African countries. The goal is to seek to contribute, reduce the vulnerability of water and related energy, agriculture and natural resources to global climate and environmental change in Ethiopia and the region. by building adaptive capacity and resilience through coordination, capacity building, research, and outreach. So we have 5 identified agreed objectives. The first one is to develop and implement educational and research programs in the country and in the region in order to increase awareness and understanding of climate and environmental change. So here in Ethiopia, at least, we don't have graduate programs. So it's focused on climate change. So under the Africa Center of Excellence, we have different PhD and master's programs, and all of our programs are internationally accredited by fulfilling European standards and quality framework. So as part of this, we would like to initiate new educational programs and, of course, research programs. The second one is to strengthen water and other related sectors, including energy, agriculture, and natural resources, to improve their response to the impact of climate and environmental change. The third one is to develop and strengthen early warning, surveillance, and preparedness system for water-related climate and environmental risks. So for this, we need strong collaboration. I've seen excellent presentation from UNESCO. So we need really strong support and collaboration in these areas. The fourth one is to support and coordinate important national, regional, and international initiatives and projects in the area of water-related climate change, mitigation, and adaptation measures. The fifth one is to support and recommend positive policy and legal framework that takes into account the impacts of climate and environmental change on water resources and related socio-economic development. So our plan is to engage key decision makers, government sectors, and non-governmental multilateral organizations to achieve this objective. Governance, how it is at least at this moment, at this stage, we have decided or agreed to establish the working group under the Africa Center of Excellence for Water Management within Addis Ababa University, and we hope this Ethiopian Climate Change Working Group will grow to be an independent, self-sustained program or working group. So the role of the Africa Center of Excellence for Water Management is to establish this working group to achieve its mission and visions and objectives. So the governance at this moment, I'm the chair, and we have co-chairs, 4 co-chairs. One is the 3 were already mentioned by Dr. Tassew. The last one is resource mobilization, a group, working group. So we need really resources, so financing. And we have also coordinator of coordinating the activities of all working groups. So these are the core team members, myself, and other team, including Professor Dr. Tassew Mekuria. So most of the team members are from Ethiopia, and Dr. Tassew is US, and then Dr. Samuel currently in Germany. So this is just when we have members. So, in the Water and Energy Working Group, we have senior professors from different parts of the world, including Dr. Moez, Louati. We have also Agriculture and Food Security Group, at least 5 members on this group. We have also Environment and Natural Resource Management Group. So for the time being, we have only 2 members, so we need really more active members in this working group. The last one is the Resource Mobilization Advisory Group. So we have members from different parts of the world and from different organizations some international organizations. So this, we hope this is a very strong group and we can really make a difference. So it's a collaborative program. So we intend to bring on board African universities, non-profit organizations, research funding institutes, international organizations such as the World Bank, USAID, US Environment Protection Agency, and more. World Educational Universities, the African Union, volunteers, individual volunteers, and the private sector. So this is I think we can build a strong working group. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Feleke, for your talk and clear description about the working group. I think there is some questions about the working group I saw in the Q&A. You may try to answer there if you want to type some question to them. At this moment, I keep looking to see if Professor Koné is joining, but unfortunately he's not. So for some reason he couldn't join us today. So apologies for this. Therefore, just since he didn't join, then we are supposed now to close the session, but I may look at some questions, maybe some questions for the panelists. First of all, I see that some of the questions was related to capacity building and, is there any promotion for capacity building or maybe event for internship, master, PhD? So for some of these questions, I would like to say that, well, this is summer school. It's actually an opportunity for the students to learn and know about the top experts in the field, and they can feel free to introduce themselves to some of the lectures and maybe send their CVs or maybe connect them, or maybe contact IAHR if we have any information about sponsorship. Usually you'll find it available. Most of the time we do advertise such opportunities. So stay connected with IAHR, look at the website and send us email if you would like to get some information. Some of the questions were also about general about how does young professionals are able to contribute if all of the everything or most of the things are actually, or the decisions are controlled by the governments in Africa. Now that is correct, but actually the answer to every solution is, the key for every solution is always knowledge. So with this event at this moment, what we're trying to give is actually knowledge. And with that knowledge, we hope that the young professional gain as much as possible knowledge to find solutions towards these challenges, right? We know it's a challenge, but this is how we can change. First, we have to get knowledge and then learn how to get the solution to overcome these challenges. So I think some of the questions were answered online. There is one question to Professor Raphael. Professor Raphael, if you can answer online, or maybe you already did. Actually, I don't see the question anymore. They were asking about the water net. It was, the website says is only for, by invitation only, some of these capacity building. If you are still available here and you would like to give more information about it, then please, you can say a few words.
Yeah, thank you very much. So there was Hamed who was asking about the training on the use of Earth observation information and application to hydrological modeling, a course that just ended, I think yesterday. It was run by WaterNet, but WaterNet is running a lot of courses, short courses, also diploma courses. So it's better to to contact WaterNet, register for the mailing list. So then you can get benefits from the offers, what they are doing as activities. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Professor Raphael. David, just if I miss any of the question, let me know. There is a question, I think was for the Ethiopia water water group, the climate change water group. I think the comments was, how can I contact you, because they would like to become member, or there is a how to become a member of this working group. Is it open? Is it not? So any comments about that, Tashu or Professor? If somebody is interested in this working group, should they is it by invitation they contact you, or just go to the website to? So how does it work? Maybe Professor Feleke, if you're still available, you can just let us know briefly.
Yes, of course, this is a new initiative. We have currently core working group team, and we are planning to open very soon membership for all interested experts, professionals, and other interested. So we are working on the requirements for membership, and it will be available on our website in the near future.
Yeah. Thanks. So basically, if I can add a bit on Feleke, basically this working group is very new. So they just starting it, developing the team. The website is there and still, updating. But I am sure, Professor Feleke, once there is an update on the website, please send me some of the information, your Tassew, and then I will distribute it to all the Africa division members, and IAHR can advertise this as well.
For a time being, probably I may need to share our email address and my name. Like, can I put on the chat? Can I write on the chat?
Please put on the chat, and later we will advertise it more. Sure, you can do that. That's it.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I think we are running a little bit over time because we only scheduled 1 hour for this. So in case we did not answer some of your questions, please feel free to contact us to get the information of the speakers. If you would like to contact them directly, if they don't mind, we can do that. Thank you for joining this session. Just want to mention a few things before we close the session. Now, this course is going to start tomorrow, the first 2 lectures. So every day will be 2 lectures. Tomorrow we will have 2 of them. 2 of them are quite general. Actually, we're not going to go too deep in fundamentals at the beginning. So this course is really for mostly targeting young professionals. The idea is to share the fundamental of several fields in hydro-environmental engineering. You know that in many times, thinking of students takes many courses, but end up forgetting the fundamentals. And in the field of hydraulic environment now is actually expanding quite a lot. Many sub-themes, etc. And sometimes it's difficult to grasp all the main concepts all the main concepts of the field. So this course is kind of trying to remedy this. And IAHR actually do have a summer school, that is face-to-face summer school. Some of the people, is the Jerka summer school, and people can participate in that one. But this summer school, we are trying to run it hopefully every 2 years, and we're going to keep it online because it's easy, to participate and attend, right? Because the other one is only up to 30. I remember when I attended. So also, this is kind of an introduction. This summer school will give an opportunity to introduce some of the top professors and experts in the field of hydro-environmental engineering. And, and actually many of them, if not all of them, are IAHR members. So this is really a unique event to bring all of these experts together. Please note that some of the titles of the lectures have already been changed, and some of them may change a little bit because some of the professors preparing the lectures, and maybe they change a little bit the titles and maybe the focus as well. I would like to also encourage some of the participants and listeners here to go to IAHR website and look at the HydroLink issues. We have a special issue on Africa, and we really wish you to have a look at it. We bring we wrote the vision of the division and also had some African scholars writing some articles, and we really would like to know your comments, and please write to us, communicate to us, and let's collaborate to have more of these events together. Yeah, I think with this, I'm gonna end the session, unless David, if you have anything you wanna add. If not, then I'll just thank again everybody. Yeah, David, please.
No, nothing to add. You just summarized very well the aims and the essence of this first online African summer school. So yeah, looking forward to start with the body of the course tomorrow. Thank you.
Definitely, definitely. So thank you all for attending this lecture. I hope I'll see you all tomorrow, and I hope I'll see more of the attendees tomorrow. So briefly, tomorrow will be the lecture by Professor Imbega and also Professor Peter Goodwin. So I hope I'll see you all tomorrow. Take care. I'm gonna say good night because I'm from Hong Kong, but everybody else, so have a nice day. So take care, bye-bye. Thank you all.
Take care, bye.